All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about something that, let's be honest, can sound kinda dry. Software test organization. But what if I told you the secret to a high-performing test team has more in common with your favorite band than it does with some boring corporate flowchart? It's a really fascinating idea, so let's get into it.
So let's just jump right into that main question. I mean, really, how is a team that's all about finding bugs and code anything like a group of musicians trying to make a hit record? On the surface, they seem like they're from different planets. But the connection? It's surprisingly cool. And it tells us something really powerful about how all great teams work.
And look, this isn't just me coming up with a clever metaphor. This is the whole point of our source material, from Trenthi Tanga, who puts this bold claim right out there. So this comparison to a music band, it isn't just a gimmick. It's actually the fundamental idea for building a test team that really truly works. And that brings us to our first section here, looking at the team as a software testing band. Because, as you're about to see, it all boils down to those three things. You need the skills, you need the teamwork, and you have to have a common goal. Okay, this is where the whole idea just clicks. Think about any legendary band. Each member has their own special skill, right? But their talent alone isn't the whole story. They have to work together. They have to be in harmony, all driving toward one thing, an amazing performance. Well, it's the exact same thing in testing. You can have the best automation engineer in the world, but if they're not in sync with the manual tester, you don't get quality, you just get noise. So if the test team is a band, who's actually playing the instruments? Well, that takes us to our next part. Let's meet the band members and look at the key roles that make all this happen. Every great band has to have a leader. And in our little world here, that's the test manager. They're way more than just a boss. They're the conductor. They're the ones setting the tempo, picking the songs, and making sure everyone is playing from the same piece of music. They create that one unified vision. And here they are, the rock stars themselves, the testers. These are our musicians, the skilled players who have the hands-on talent. They're the ones who explore the software, find every single note, and make sure it's hit perfectly. I mean, without them, there's no music. There's just silence. But you know, tester is a pretty big bucket. The source material is smart about this, and it breaks it down into two different styles. You've got the automation tester. Think of them as the synth player, creating these complex, repeatable rhythms that just run perfectly on their own. And then you have the manual tester. This is your acoustic guitarist. They're exploring with a human touch, finding that nuance, that feel, the kind of stuff a machine would totally miss. And if you want a really rich, full sound, you absolutely need both of them. Okay, so you've got your band together, you've got a leader, you've got talented musicians, but hey, if you just shove them all in a room, you're not going to get a hit song. You're just going to get noise. So how do you actually structure all this talent to make something incredible? Well, that brings us to the sheet music. How does the band actually play together? Let's take a look at the structure and the teamwork that turns all that raw talent into a polished, finished product. So inside the band, the structure is actually pretty straightforward. It starts at the top with the test manager, the main band leader. They'll often delegate to test leaders who are kind of like section leaders in an orchestra, in charge of the horns, for example. And then those leaders guide the individual testers, our musicians. It's a simple chain of command, really, all designed to keep communication clear and everyone in harmony. But that internal stuff is only half the picture, because a band doesn't play in a vacuum, right? To go on tour, to make a record, they have to work with a whole bunch of other people. And for a test team, it's exactly the same thing. And here's how that network of collaborators fits together. You've got management. They're like the studio execs, the ones funding the album who need to see a return. The project leader? That's your tour promoter, handling all the schedules and logistics to make sure the show actually happens. And quality assurance? That's the sound engineer, the person doing the final mix to make sure the track sounds professional. The test team's got to work with all of them. And the circle gets even wider. The customer, well, they are the audience. If they don't like the song, you failed. It's that simple. And finally, the infrastructure. That's the venue, the stage, the amps, the power. It's the foundation for the whole show.
If the lights go out, it doesn't matter how good the band is. So, we've got the band, we've got the structure, we know who they collaborate with, but what's it all for? That brings us to our last section, the ultimate goal. This is all about tying everything together to actually get a successful result.
Look, before you can ever have a hit song, you just need a band that can play together. And that is the first and most critical goal of this whole setup, just building an effective team. It's the foundation. It's having a group of people who trust each other and can play in perfect harmony. And when you get that, when you have that effective team, that band in total harmony, playing for an audience that loves them in a great venue, what do you get? You get the one thing everyone was working for this whole time: success, a hit album, a sold-out tour, a piece of software that people just love to use. But I'll leave you with this one final thought, a little twist on the analogy. With a music band, success is loud. It's noticeable. With a software test team, the goal is pretty much the exact opposite. So think about this. If a test team really is a band, what does it mean when their greatest performance, their sold-out stadium show, is a product launch so smooth and flawless that nobody even knew they were there at all?